The miscalculation. The Galactic Council chamber stretched across 3 kilometers of polished obsidian, its ceiling lost in artificial twilight. 200 species had gathered for what they believed would be a simple matter. The humans had been silent for too long. Ambassador Thexlar of the Vorn Dominion raised 4 of his 6 arms in ceremonial address. His species had conquered 40 star systems before the Council had even formed. He knew power when he saw it, and Earth possessed none worth mentioning. The human delegation has declined our invitation for the 3rd consecutive cycle, Thexlar announced, his translator converting his chittering into the common tongue. Their silence is an insult to this assembly. I propose we send a fleet to their home system, not to conquer but to remind them of their place. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The humans had been discovered only 15 years ago, a young species barely beyond their own solar system. They had a single colony on Mars, some mining outposts in their asteroid belt, and a handful of exploration vessels that moved at laughable speeds compared to galactic standard drives. High Arbiter Zafina, a crystalline being whose species had mediated council disputes for millennia, pulsed with cautious amber light. The humans have not violated any treaty. They have not expanded beyond their designated zone. Perhaps patience is warranted. Patience? Thexlar's mandibles clicked in what his species considered laughter. They ignore our summons because they believe themselves above galactic law. Every species must acknowledge the Council's authority. Every species must contribute to our mutual defense network. The humans think they can hide behind their little yellow star and avoid their responsibilities. Commander Vrask of the Keltor military fleet leaned forward, his scales gleaming under the chamber lights. Our intelligence suggests the humans possess primitive nuclear weapons and crude chemical propulsion. Their largest warship carries perhaps 50 crew members. I could subjugate their entire system with a single destroyer and be home before second dawn. What none of them knew was that every word spoken in that chamber was being recorded, not by Council security systems but by something far more subtle. A gravitational lens no larger than a grain of sand floated in the room's upper reaches, bending space-time just enough to capture every photon, every sound wave, every electromagnetic whisper. 15 light-years away, in a facility that did not officially exist, the recording reached Admiral Sarah Chen within milliseconds. Quantum entanglement communication was supposedly impossible according to galactic science. Earth had made it work 7 years ago. Chen sat in the command center of Fortress Station 12, one of 43 hidden installations scattered throughout the Sol system. She watched the Alien Council debate humanity's fate with the detached interest of a chess player watching opponents argue over which pawn to sacrifice. They want to send a fleet, her tactical officer observed. Single destroyer. Subjugation mission. Chen allowed herself a slight smile. Let them come. Which destroyer? Keltor warship Infinite Reach according to intercepts. Newest in their fleet. 30-kilometer dreadnought. Plasma cannons. Kinetic barriers. Crew of 8,000. Impressive by their standards, Chen said. She pulled up the analysis on her display. The Keltor dreadnought was indeed formidable compared to most galactic military vessels. It could probably glass a planet's surface in a matter of hours. Against pre-warp civilizations, it would be unstoppable. Earth was not pre-warp. Earth had simply never shown the galaxy what warp actually meant. Send a message to the Mars defense grid, Chen ordered. Tell them to expect visitors in approximately 48 hours. Standard protocol. Let them get within visual range of Mars. Let them feel confident. And if they open fire on the colony, her officer asked. They won't have time, Chen replied. The colony's shields could deflect anything they throw at it for weeks. But we're not going to let it get that far. She turned back to the display showing the Galactic Council. Thexlar was now formally proposing the punitive expedition. Votes were being cast. 200 species agreeing that humanity needed to be taught humility. Chen activated her quantum comm to Earth's command center beneath the Swiss Alps. This is Fortress 12. The Council has authorized a show of force. Single hostile vessel inbound. Recommend we proceed to Revelation Protocol Stage 1. The response came immediately. Confirmed, Admiral. Stage 1 authorized. Show them what patience looks like. For 15 years, Earth had listened. For 15 years, humanity had smiled and nodded and played the role of primitive newcomers, exploring their cosmic neighborhood with wide-eyed wonder. For 15 years, every human ship sent beyond the solar system had used deliberately outdated technology, moved at intentionally slow speeds, and broadcast on frequencies that suggested crude understanding of physics. For 15 years, Earth had been building. The truth was simple and terrifying. Humanity had not been avoiding the Galactic Council out of fear or ignorance. They had been buying time. Time to decode every alien technology they encountered. Time to reverse engineer and improve upon millennia of galactic advancement. Time to ensure that when Earth finally revealed itself, the reveal would reshape the balance of power across 100,000 light years. The Keltor destroyer was about to become humanity's announcement to the galaxy. Chen pulled up the specifications for the Mars defense. Grid, 48 autonomous defense platforms, each one housing weapon systems that would make the Keltor dreadnought look like a primitive ballista. Graviton beam projectors, quantum disruptor missiles, point singularity generators, and the shields, the beautiful, elegant shields that could shrug off a supernova's fury. 48 hours, Chen said quietly. The galaxy's about to learn why humans smile when threatened. In the council chamber, the vote concluded. Authorization granted. Commander Vrask stood proudly, already imagining the commendations he would receive for putting the upstart humans in their place. His ship departed 3 hours later, carrying the pride of the Keltor fleet toward a small blue planet that had seemed so helpless from afar. The Awakening, the Keltor warship Infinite. Reach dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system, with the confidence of a predator entering a rabbit's den. Commander Vrask stood on the command deck, his scales reflecting the light of the distant yellow star that humanity called home. "Scan the system," he ordered. "I want a complete tactical assessment before we proceed to the third planet." His sensor officer worked the controls, ancient Keltor technology humming as it swept the solar system. "Commander, I'm detecting the expected mining operations in the asteroid belt. The Mars colony is visible. Population approximately 8,000 based on heat signatures. I'm reading primitive orbital stations around the third planet. No significant military presence detected." Vrask's inner eyelids closed in satisfaction, exactly as intelligence had predicted. The humans were utterly unprepared for what was coming. He would give them one chance to surrender, then demonstrate the Council's power by disabling their Mars colony's life support. A measured response, enough to terrify them into compliance without actually causing mass casualties. "Take us toward Mars. Standard approach. Let them see us coming. I want them to understand the futility of resistance." The Infinite Reach began its journey toward the red planet, its 30-kilometer hull gleaming in the starlight. Vrask had commanded this vessel for 12 years. He had subdued 7 rebellious colonies and fought in 3 border conflicts. He knew the psychology of intimidation. The key was to appear overwhelming and inevitable. What he did not know was that his ship had been tracked since the moment it entered the system. 43 hidden installations watched his every movement. Quantum computers analyzed his vessel's energy signature, weapon configurations, shield frequencies, and structural weaknesses in real time. On Mars, the colony went about its daily routine. Farmers tended hydroponic gardens. Engineers maintained atmospheric processors. Children attended school in underground classrooms. To any observer, it appeared to be a vulnerable settlement of pioneers trying to survive on a harsh world. 300 meters beneath the Martian surface, Major Lisa Park watched the Keltor dreadnought approach on displays that showed every rivet on its hull. The Mars defense grid had acquired target lock the moment Vrask entered the system. Now it was simply a matter of timing. "He's following the predicted approach vector," her tactical officer reported. "Confidence level is high. He thinks he's in complete control." Park nodded. "Let him maintain that illusion. Wait until he's within 50,000 kilometers. I want him close enough to see our faces when we smile." The Infinite Reach crossed the orbit of Jupiter, then the asteroid belt. Vrask noted the human mining ships there, small vessels that scattered at his approach like frightened insects. Good. Fear was spreading ahead of him. "Open a communication channel to Mars colony," Vrask commanded. "Let me speak to whoever is in charge." The channel opened. A human face appeared on the screen, a woman with dark hair and calm eyes that showed no trace of the terror Vrask expected to see. "I am Commander Vrask of the Keltor Fleet, authorized by the Galactic Council to establish diplomatic contact with humanity. You will prepare to receive my delegation. You will also prepare to discuss Earth's immediate integration into Council protocols. Refusal is not an option. Major Park smiled pleasantly. Hello, Commander Vrask. Welcome to Mars. Before we discuss anything, I need to inform you that you're currently in violation of Sol System defensive perimeter protocols. You have 30 seconds to halt your approach and power down your weapon systems. Vrask's scales rippled with amusement. Defensive protocols? Your colony has no defensive capability. I'm reading no weapons platforms, no military vessels, nothing that could threaten my ship. Perhaps you don't understand your situation. 20 seconds, Park said, her smile never wavering. This is absurd, Vrask growled. He cut the communication. Tactical, target their main dome. Single plasma shot across their bow. Let's end this theater. Weapons charging, Commander. 10 seconds, Park said quietly to her crew. Activate grid on my mark. The Infinite Reach's plasma cannons began to glow, building energy for a warning shot that would vaporize a cubic kilometer of Martian regolith and demonstrate what happened to species that defied the Council. Fire, Vrask commanded. The plasma bolt launched, a streak of superheated matter that could melt through solid titanium. It raced toward Mars at a significant fraction of light speed. Mark, Park said calmly. The Martian surface erupted with light, not from the plasma impact, but from 48 points arranged in a perfect geometric pattern around the colony. 48 defense platforms rose from concealed silos, their activation so sudden that they appeared to simply materialize from nothing. The plasma bolt struck an energy barrier that blossomed into existence like a soap bubble made of crystallized light. The bolt splashed against it harmlessly, its energy dissipating into space as waste heat. On the Infinite Reach's command deck, every alarm began screaming at once. Commander! His sensor officer's voice cracked with panic. I'm reading massive energy spikes. 48 separate sources. Power levels are, this can't be right. Each platform is generating more power than our entire ship. Vrask stared at his displays in disbelief. The platforms hung in Martian orbit like ancient gods awakening from sleep. They were small, barely 100 meters each, but the energy readings were impossible. No civilization in the galaxy could miniaturize power generation to that degree. Evasive maneuvers, Vrask shouted. Get us out of... I'm afraid it's too late for that. Park's voice came through the communication channel that had reopened without Vrask's authorization. You fired on a human colony, Commander. That changes things. One of the platforms rotated slightly. A beam of pure white light lanced across space, covering the distance to the Infinite Reach in less than a heartbeat. It struck the dreadnought's forward shields and passed through them like they weren't there. The beam carved a perfectly circular hole through the Infinite Reach's armor, passing through 5 decks before exiting the other side. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut, preventing decompression. But Vrask now had a tunnel through his ship that he could see stars through. Your shields use rotating electromagnetic frequencies, Park explained, her voice still perfectly calm. Our graviton beams don't interact with electromagnetic force. They manipulate space-time directly. Your shields can't stop them because they don't operate in the same dimensional framework. Vrask's claws dug into his command console. This is impossible. Graviton manipulation requires energy generation beyond anything in the galaxy. The calculations alone. The calculations were solved by a human undergraduate student 6 years ago, Park interrupted. As part of her thesis project. She got an A- because her proof was elegant but her formatting was sloppy. A second platform rotated. Another white beam struck the Infinite Reach, this time slicing through the port engine assembly. The dreadnought shuddered as propulsion systems failed. We could destroy your ship in approximately 3 seconds, Park continued. All 48 platforms are locked onto different target points. Your hull, your engines, your weapons, your crew quarters, your bridge. We know exactly where everything is because we've been scanning your ship's internal structure since you entered our system. We know you have 8,043 crew members aboard. We know what you had for your last meal. We know the serial numbers on your underwear, Commander. Vrask's blood ran cold. How? Because we've been listening to the galaxy for 15 years, Park said. Every transmission, every conversation, every technological specification that every species thought was secure. Your encryption is mathematics, Commander, and humans are very, very good at mathematics. A third beam struck, disabling the starboard weapons array. The Infinite Reach was now helpless, dead in space, unable to fight or flee. Here's what happens next, Park said. You're going to return to the Galactic Council. You're going to tell them exactly what happened here. You're going to explain that Earth is no longer asking for permission to remain independent. We're informing you of a new reality. The Council will send their entire fleet, Vrask said, his voice barely a whisper. Park's smile finally faded, replaced by something harder, something that made Vrask understand why predators feared humans in ancient Earth stories. Let them come, she said. We'll be waiting. The revelation. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened 6 hours after the Infinite Reach limped back through their space, trailing debris and emergency repair drones. Commander Vrask stood in the center of the chamber, his scales dulled with humiliation, and told them everything. The silence that followed was absolute. Ambassador Thexelar finally spoke, his voice lacking its previous confidence. You're telling us that a human colony of 8,000 civilians disabled a Kelter dreadnought with 48 small platforms? That their weapons passed through military-grade shields as if they were smoke? I'm telling you we underestimated them, Vrask said quietly. Catastrophically. High Arbiter Zafina pulsed with deep violet, a color her species reserved for profound concern. If what you describe is accurate, the humans possess technology that exceeds our understanding by generations, perhaps centuries. The question becomes, what do we do with this information? We mobilize the combined fleet, Grand Admiral Kethros announced, his 3 heads speaking in unison. The Triad species had commanded Council military forces for 400 years. 200 warships. We demonstrate that individual technological superiority means nothing against coordinated, overwhelming force. Or, a new voice interjected, you could try asking nicely. Every being in the chamber turned toward the entrance. A human stood there wearing a simple gray suit, her hands clasped behind her back. She walked toward the center of the chamber with the casual confidence of someone strolling through a garden. I'm Ambassador Elena Vasquez, she said. I believe you've been wanting to speak with Earth's delegation. Apologies for the delay. We've been busy. How did you get in here? Thexelar demanded. This chamber is sealed. Security protocols are excellent, Elena agreed. Unfortunately for you, we've had access to your security systems for approximately 14 years. We've been listening to everything said in this chamber since the day you discovered us. Every debate, every secret session, every private conversation in what you thought were secure channels. Zafina's crystalline form flickered through a rainbow of colors, settling on shocked amber. That's not possible. Our quantum encryption uses a 2048 qubit key rotation with temporal desynchronization, Elena said. It took our computers about 6 hours to break when we first encountered it. These days, we can crack your latest encryption in approximately 12 minutes. Would you like me to recite last week's Classified Defense Committee meeting? The one about potential strategies for dealing with the Vorn border dispute? The chamber erupted in outraged voices from 200 species. Elena waited patiently for the noise to subside, a slight smile on her face. You've been spying on us for over a decade? Kethros roared. This is an act of war. No, Elena said calmly. This is an act of survival. You discovered Earth 15 years ago. Within 3 days of first contact, 17 different species had begun intelligence operations against us. Within a week, 4 separate assassination attempts were made on our diplomats. Within a month, 3 different factions had approached us with offers of protection that were thinly veiled extortion schemes. She walked slowly around the chamber's center, making eye contact with various ambassadors. You want to know what humans did? We learned. We listened. We watched how the galaxy really works beneath all the diplomatic pleasantries, and we decided that we would never, ever be vulnerable again. Your Mars colony, Vrask said. The platforms. That wasn't all you have, was it? Elena shook her head. Commander, the Mars defense grid is our tourist attraction. It's what we show to guests who might be hostile. Would you like to know what we don't show? She gestured, and a holographic display materialized in the center of the chamber without anyone activating the Council's projection systems. It showed the Sol system, but not the empty system the galaxy thought they knew. Hundreds of installations appeared in the display. Defense platforms throughout the system, shipyards hidden in the asteroid belt, each one capable of producing vessels that would make the Infinite Reach look primitive. Underground facilities on Earth's moon, on Europa, on Titan, and ships. Thousands of ships, each one using technology that made galactic standard drives look like steam engines. You've been building an armada, Zafina whispered. We've been preparing, Elena corrected. There's a difference. We don't want to conquer anyone. We don't want to dominate the galaxy. We just want to make absolutely certain that no one can ever threaten our species' survival. Ever. The Council will never accept this, Texelar said, his multiple arms trembling. You cannot simply appear and declare yourselves above galactic law. We have maintained order for 10,000 years. And in those 10,000 years, how many species have been subjugated? How many civilizations have been crushed by the Council's order? Elena's voice remained gentle, but her words cut deep. We've read your histories. All of them. We know about the Peltherian extinction, the Quartu genocide, the 43 species listed as voluntary integration that chose Council membership only after military demonstrations destroyed their industrial capacity. The chamber fell silent again. These were truths that everyone knew but no one spoke of. Humanity isn't here to destroy the Council, Elena continued. We're here to change it. The galaxy doesn't need overlords. It needs partners, equals working together. Grand Admiral Kethros laughed, a harsh sound from three throats. And you think you can force this change? Even with your technology, you are one species against 200. Elena's smile widened. Admiral, I said we've been listening for 15 years. Do you think we've only been listening to you? The holographic display changed. It now showed communication logs, thousands of them, secret transmissions between Earth and other species, not Council members, not the major powers, but the smaller civilizations, the ones who lived in fear of their stronger neighbors, the ones who had no voice in galactic affairs. 63 species have been in secret communication with Earth, Elena announced. 63 civilizations who are tired of being afraid, who are tired of watching the powerful decide their fates. We've been sharing our technology with them. Defensive technology, power generation, food production, medical advances, nothing that could be used for aggression but everything needed for independence. You're creating a rival faction, Zafina said, her light pulsing with alarm. You'll fracture the galaxy. No, Elena said firmly. We're creating balance. For too long, the galaxy has been controlled by whoever has the biggest weapons and the most aggressive expansion policies. We're giving everyone else the tools to say no to that control, not to destroy it but to transform it into something better. She turned to face the entire assembly. Here's what's going to happen. Earth formally requests Council membership, but as an equal partner, not a subordinate. The 63 species we've been working with will also apply for membership or enhanced status. Together, we represent enough economic and military power to be taken seriously, and we're going to propose reforms. Real reforms. Democratic representation. Limitations on military intervention. Protection for developing civilizations. And if we refuse, Texelar asked. Then we form our own coalition, Elena said simply. 64 species working together, trading freely, defending each other, growing stronger while the Council continues as it always has. Eventually, other species will look at both groups and decide which one offers a better future. We're patient. We can wait. The chamber erupted in debate. Some species were outraged, others intrigued. A few seemed relieved that someone had finally challenged the status quo. High Arbiter Zafina raised her crystalline arms, calling for silence. When it finally came, she pulsed with contemplative blue light. The humans have demonstrated something that no species has shown in my lifetime, she said slowly. They prepared for the worst while hoping for the best. They accumulated power but chose dialogue over domination. They could have revealed themselves through conquest but chose to reveal themselves through partnership. She turned to Elena. Your species frightens me, Ambassador Vasquez. Not because of your weapons but because of your patience. A species that can remain hidden while becoming powerful, that can plan across decades rather than cycles, that can resist the temptation to use force when force becomes available. Such a species is either remarkably wise or preparing. Something we cannot foresee. We're preparing for a future where our children don't live in fear, Elena said, where human colonists can explore the galaxy without wondering if the next species they meet will try to enslave them, where we can contribute to galactic civilization as partners, not subjects. That's all we've ever wanted. Zafina was silent for a long moment. Then she pulsed with golden light, the color of historic decisions. I propose that the Council enter formal negotiations with Earth and its allied species, not as a capitulation, but as a recognition that the galaxy has changed. The humans are here. They are powerful, and they are offering us a choice: evolve together or diverge separately. The vote that followed was not unanimous. 47 species voted against the proposal, clinging to traditional power structures. But 153 species voted in favor, many of them smaller civilizations who saw an opportunity for their voices to finally matter. 3 months later, the Treaty of Sol was signed. Earth joined the Galactic Council as a founding member of the Reformed Assembly, alongside the 63 species it had been working with in secret. New protocols were established, new safeguards were implemented, and for the first time in 10,000 years, the galaxy's power structure fundamentally changed. Admiral Chen watched the signing ceremony from Fortress Station 12, a glass of champagne in her hand. "Do you think it will last?" her tactical officer asked. Chen smiled. "It will last because we'll make sure it does. We didn't build all of this just to watch it crumble. We built it to protect not just humanity, but the idea that civilization should be built on consent, not conquest." She raised her glass toward the distant stars. "To the next chapter. May it be written by many hands, not just the strongest." Across the galaxy, on 200 worlds and 1,000 stations, beings looked up at the stars and wondered what came next. The humans had proven that patience and preparation could overcome even the most entrenched power structures. They had shown that intelligence and strategy could achieve what brute force never could. And somewhere in the depths of space, in laboratories and workshops and universities across human space, the next generation of scientists and engineers were already working on technologies that would make graviton beams look primitive, because humans had learned the most important lesson of all. The only way to guarantee peace is to make war too costly for anyone to contemplate, and the only way to maintain freedom is to remain forever vigilant, forever innovative, forever one step ahead. The galaxy had been left speechless by humanity's power, but humanity's true power wasn't in its weapons or its technology. It was in its refusal to become what it had defeated: another bully among bullies, another conqueror among conquerors. Humanity had come to the stars not to dominate, but to elevate. Not to rule, but to inspire. And in doing so, they had changed the galaxy forever.